Hello, everybody, and welcome to week 8. This week we're doing things a little bit differently. Sometimes I like to slow it down right about mid-semester and just give time to focus a little bit more, in particular on this chapter that we just covered last week. So we just finished going through chapter 6, which is stereotyping, prejudice, and discrimination. And I like to spend a good deal of time here, and I also like to tie in an assignment with this topic. So what you're going to see here in week 8 is we're going to continue with the same material. So you've already read this, you've already had a discussion board topic on this chapter. Now in this week, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be watching a feature movie, Crash. Some of you may have seen this already. It won a lot of awards and was, I think, in the Best Picture, at least nominee category. And so it's just a great one. Lots of great actors and actresses. And more importantly, it is just jam-packed full of a lot of the concepts that we're going to be talking about this week for your write-up of it. So what's going to happen is you're going to check out this movie. It's about 2 hours long, typical movie. I've also attached a synopsis of the movie along with the characters. There are a lot of people in the movie, and it might be hard to keep track of who's who and the names and everything. So check this out. You might want to have it with you as you're watching the movie. And then what we're going to be doing is taking it and applying what you see in the movie to answering the questions for the prejudice assignment this week. So really all that's happening this week is you're watching this movie and you're responding to this assignment, and then we have an exam as usual at the end of the week on Sunday. So you're pulling off of everything that we just went over last week in our readings. If you need to go back through and go back to the chapter and reread that would be highly encouraged. You can go ahead and recheck out any concepts, spend a little more time diving into some of that and getting familiar with topics that are going to apply to this movie. So what I would suggest is take a look at these questions. That way you have an idea of what concepts you're supposed to be looking for in the movie. Because again, it's packed with examples, and not all of you will use the same examples when we're talking about stereotyping or we're talking about types of racism, implicit versus explicit. You know, I expect to see lots of different examples from the characters in the movie. When we talk about in-group struggles with race, as well as the us versus them effect, here is, again, I'm asking you guys to pull on what you're seeing happening in the movie. And so you're going to be bringing up certain characters and giving them as examples. But then additionally, you're really tying in the concepts and the resources from the readings. So you're going to have to go back to the Branscombe and Barron chapter and take a look at what it says in terms of like us versus them, in terms of in-group race struggle, and be applying those concepts to your understanding of how a particular individual in the movie was struggling with that or dealing with that. And that is pretty much the basis for the assignment. The assignment is going to work just like a discussion board. It just looks a little different. It says prejudice assignment, but it is essentially a discussion board where you're going to be responding to these questions just like you normally would in a discussion. And then you're going to be replying to 3 other people's comments. And I would emphasize, as you're responding to other people's comments, to try to pick out those people's posts who were different than yours. So if someone had a different viewpoint or a different take, or they use different examples in their answers to these questions, try to go for those because that's where you're going to have something to say more so than, you know, people that just agreed with maybe what you put or put the same things that you put. So be looking for that. The only difference with this assignment is that a normal discussion board posting would be worth 10 points total. This one's worth 20. So I'm definitely, there's more questions here. It's going to require more out of you. You actually have to watch the movie, which is an awesome movie. I don't think you're going to have any problems with that. But then you're going to be spending a good deal of time answering these questions. And so I'm making it worth 20 points. And that's pretty much the week. You're not reading any new material this week. You are simply watching the movie, maybe rereading some of what you already read last week, responding to the assignment questions, and then taking the exam. And my hope is that by doing this assignment, you're really going to become more familiar with the topics this week, as well as examples of how these things are operating in the real world, and that that's going to help you for the test, and help you to understand how to actually apply these concepts to real life. And actually, in number 5 of the discussion question, I ask you that. I say, hey, apply these concepts to today, to the social climate that we're going through right now in terms of our race relations in this country. Things have peaked to a point where we're not really understanding one another, and a lot of our prejudices are getting in the way. You can even tie in some of the videos from last week, like the IAT video that looked at sort of the implicit nature of our prejudices that we may not even be aware of. You can even tie in some of that. But I really want to see you put your brains to use in explaining how everything you've learned in the chapter, through the movie, through the videos, has shaped now maybe your view of race relations. Do you have a different view now than when you started, before you started this class, before you started this topic? And what next steps could we take as a society to try to reduce prejudices, and in turn reduce racism in this country? Can we even do that? Is it possible? And if so, how would that need to happen? And so really going off of not just your opinion, but based on the research, based on everything you've been presented with, what do you think? Okay, so that's pretty much this week. Week 8, as you're making your way through some of this, if you have questions, please let me know. Please feel free to email me, but I really look forward. This is always a really great assignment. I just look forward to seeing what you all have to say, and look forward to seeing how you integrate all of the material into a very practical and very applied topic that we're struggling with today. So good luck, everybody, and I will hear from you soon.